Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Tonight I want you to picture something with me. The sound of a wooden spoon scraping the bottom of a pot at 5:30 a.m. The smell of bacon curling in the pan. The way the grease pops if you don't lay it just right. That was my world for 42 years. Every single morning. And here's the thing. You probably won't survive this kind of love. Not because it's too hard, but because one day you'll realize nobody noticed it at all. So, before we begin, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Just a heads up, ladies, this channel is all about us. Where are you listening from tonight? Drop your city and time in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels. Now find your quiet corner, let the day's worries drift away, and we'll simply listen to this story together. I woke up before the sun did. That's just how it was. My feet hit the floor, and my hands knew what to do before my eyes were fully open. Coffee first, always. Then the eggs, the toast, the grits, if it was winter. I could do it in my sleep, and some mornings I think I did. Mom, why do you even bother? My daughter, Lisa, would groan, pushing her plate away at 7 a.m. I'm not hungry, but I'd just wrap her toast in foil and tuck it into her backpack. You will be by third period, I'd say. Like it was a law of nature. And sure enough, she'd text me later. Huh, you were right. That's how it went. My husband, Frank, would grunt over his paper, fork clinking against the plate. No, thank you, no, this is good. Just chewing, swallowing, leaving, like breathing. Expected, invisible. I didn't mind. Or at least I told myself I didn't. The kitchen was my kingdom. The way the light slanted over the counter at 6:17 a.m. The way the coffee percolator sighed when it was done. Those were my standing ovations. But then one morning I cracked an egg and the yolk bled out bright yellow. And it just hit me. I've been doing this for decades, and not once did anyone ask if I wanted breakfast made for me. The kitchen never felt empty until the kids left. Oh, the house was quieter, sure. No backpacks slamming onto the counter, no frantic searches for missing gym shoes. But the real silence settled in the spaces between meals. I'd still set the table for 4 out of habit, even though it was just Frank and me now. 2 plates, 2 glasses, and 2 ghosts where the kids used to sit. Lisa moved out first, got a shiny apartment downtown with her boyfriend. Mom, stop worrying. I'm 25, she'd said, rolling her eyes as she shoved the last of her shoes into a laundry basket like she was in a rush to disappear. She never did pack properly. Then came Michael, off to Colorado for some tech job. They've got real mountains out there, Ma. He'd grinned, like that made it okay that he was leaving. I adjusted, made smaller portions, learned to cook without burning rice for once. But some nights I'd catch myself staring at their empty chairs, the napkins still folded underneath forgotten forks. One Tuesday, Frank came home late, again, and I'd kept his plate warm in the oven. Meatloaf, his favorite. Or at least, it used to be. He poked at it with his fork like it might bite him. You could have just texted me you weren't hungry, I said, wiping my hands on a towel, already damp from wiping the counters 3 times. Didn't look up. Didn't think I needed to check in just to skip a meal. The words sat between us, greasy and cold as the congealing meatloaf. That's when I noticed. The steam barely rose anymore, like the meal didn't even bother trying to be warm. And that's when I started wondering, if I stopped cooking tomorrow, would anyone even notice? You know what's funny? I baked my own birthday cake, 70 years old, and I stood there in my apron, sifting flour like it was any other day. Chocolate with peanut butter frosting, Lisa's favorite since she was 6. Michael always scraped. His off, so I made a small vanilla one too, just in case. I even tied balloons to the chairs, just like I did when they were little and believed birthdays had magic. The kind that bob and weave when you walk past them. Only this time, nobody came to bump into them. "They'll call," Frank said, scrolling through his phone at the table. He didn't look up when the oven timer went off. By 7 p.m., the frosting had crusted over. I lit the candles anyway, 1 for each decade, plus 7 more for good luck. The wax dripped onto the cake while I waited. My phone buzzed at 8:23, a text from Michael. "Sorry, Mom, crazy day, happy birthday," followed by one from Lisa 3 minutes later. "Forgot to call. We'll do lunch soon?" Blew out the candles myself. The smoke curled up in thin gray ribbons, and for the first time in 42 years, I didn't make a wish. Frank took one bite, then pushed his plate away. "Too sweet," he muttered. Though I'd watched him go back for seconds every birthday since 1987. That night, I wrapped the leftovers in foil, just like I used to do for Lisa's school lunches, and put them in the freezer, where things keep, where they don't spoil. And that's when I realized some hungers can't be fixed with a home-cooked meal. The boxes showed up in the hallway one Tuesday, just 2 at first. Plain brown with the word fragile stamped across the side like it meant something more than dishes. I ran my finger along the tape, still warm, like it had just been sealed. "Frank?" I called, confused. "What's all this?" He came out of the bedroom holding a stack of old photo albums. His reading glasses were perched on top of his head like he'd forgotten he was even wearing them. "Just some things for the kids," he said, not quite meeting my eyes. I reached down and opened one flap, just a little. Wrapped in bubble wrap was our china set, the white one with the blue roses, the one we got for our 25th anniversary, the one Lisa always said she'd want one day. "Since when do we send heirlooms by mail?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. He shifted the albums into a box without answering. Then he added, "Linda, don't start." And that's when I saw it, by the door. His suitcase. Not the gym bag he used for weekend trips. No, it was the navy blue one. The rolling one with the extendable handle. The one he only used when he went away for longer than a few days. And he'd retired last year. I turned back to the kitchen without another word. The microwave beeped, reminding me about the casserole. It had probably gone rubbery at the edges by now. But I didn't move. I just stood there, staring at the fridge, trying to remember if I'd already taken my lunch out of it this morning. I couldn't. Something was unraveling. It wasn't just the packing. It was the way he didn't explain. The way he acted like this had been decided long before I ever saw the boxes. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, listening to the slow zip of him closing that suitcase, listening to drawers open and shut, one by one. He didn't say goodbye. The next morning, his toothbrush was gone. His side of the closet looked like a department store display. Empty hangers and nothing else. Even the dent in the pillow had fluffed, itself out by then. And all I could think was, this wasn't an empty nest anymore. This was something worse. This was a house being emptied, piece by piece, while I was still in it. The van smelled like artificial lemon and something else underneath it. Something faint, like old bandages and hand sanitizer. I pressed my forehead against the cool window, watching the neighborhood slip by. Houses I knew by heart, yards I'd seen grow and wilt through every season, gone in a blink. Frank had said we were going to that nice Italian place by the mall. I even asked if I should change into something nicer. He'd said no. Casual was fine. But we'd passed the mall exit 10 minutes ago. Frank? My voice barely rose over the hum of the air conditioning. Where are we really going? He didn't answer right away. Just kept both hands on the wheel. Tight. His wedding ring caught the light from a street lamp. It used to mean something to me. That little circle. Now it just looked like a lid that had already sealed shut. Just sit tight, Linda, he finally said. The road signs started to change. Less Olive Garden, more urgent care clinics, less retail, more retirement villages. My stomach dropped, hard. Something inside me had known this ride wasn't what it seemed from the moment he offered to drive. I turned in my seat, tried to read his face. "This isn't about my fall last month, is it?" I asked quietly. "Because I told you my hips. Fine. I caught myself before I hit the floor." He exhaled hard, sharp. Then he slapped the steering wheel. Just once, loud enough to make my whole body jerk. Jesus, Linda. Just once, can you let someone else make a decision without a cross-examination? I stared at him. Not angry. Just hollow. Just stunned. The silence afterward was heavier than his words. I turned back toward the window, watched the trees blur into each other like watercolor paintings soaked too long in rain. I started counting exits. 7, then 6, then 5. Each one pulled us further from anything I recognized, and all I could think about was the casserole. I'd left it in the oven. Chicken and mushroom, the way Frank liked it. I'd even added extra time this time, thinking maybe he'd notice. It'd be burning by now, shriveling at the corners, turning bitter and black, filling the house with smoke. Not that anyone would be there to smell it. And then it hit me. This wasn't just about safety or aging or me slipping once on a rug. They'd been packing more than just dishes. They were packing me away. The wheelchair squeaked with every turn, high-pitched, sharp, like it wanted the whole place to know I was coming. The nurse behind me, her badge said Darlene, kept humming some tune off-key as she pushed me down a hallway that smelled like bleach and overcooked green beans. The lights above flickered just a little, like they couldn't make up their minds. "Here we are, Mrs. Pearson," she said too cheerfully, parking me at a small desk in a room that felt like a waiting area pretending to be an office. There was a stack of papers in front of me, thick and official-looking. The top one said, "Admission Agreement" in bold block letters. I gripped the armrests. "Where's Frank?" Darlene gave me a pat on the shoulder, the kind people give to spooked animals or stubborn toddlers. "Oh, honey, they never stay for this part." She clicked her pen and slid it toward me. "Sign on page 3, 7, and 12. My hands felt cold. The pen trembled between my fingers. Page 3 was insurance. Page 7 listed medications I didn't even take. Page 12 gave them permission to oversee financial matters on the resident's behalf. Through the narrow window, behind her I spotted Frank's car still idling in the drop-off lane. Engine running, little puffs of exhaust rising into the cold air like smoke signals nobody was going to read. I turned to the last page. The family representative line was already signed. Frank's handwriting. The same crooked scrawl I'd seen on birthday cards and school field trip forms and tax returns. There it was again, signing me away like a package that didn't need tracking. Then I saw Michael, just for a second, through the van window as the door slid open. He got into the passenger seat, hunched like always, tapping something on his phone. No wave, no glance back. Just the crunch of tires on gravel as they pulled away. Darlene nudged the papers again. "We do need these today, sweetheart. Sweetheart." I looked at her hands. Polished nails. Gold bracelet. I wondered if she had someone. At home. If she cooked for them. If they ever thanked her. I wondered if she thought I was just another old woman being safely tucked away. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't paperwork. It wasn't a check-in. It wasn't even about safety. This was a surrender. But not mine. Not yet. The first night, I learned the sounds of this place like a new language. The wheeze of Mrs. Henderson's oxygen tank next door. Long inhale, short sigh. Long inhale, short sigh. The rubber soles of an aide's sneakers scuffing past my door at 2:17 a.m. The buzzer from someone's call button, blinking red down the hallway like a warning no one was listening to. I stared at the ceiling tiles, yellowed, water-stained. One in the corner looked like Africa, just like the ones Lisa used to trace in her school atlas. My hands twitched toward the nightstand before I remembered. There was no phone, no charger, no glow of a screen waiting for a message. Frank had handed it over at the front desk. "It's policy," he mumbled, as if rules made it okay. Somewhere, down the hall, someone called out in their sleep. A slurred name, a sob, then nothing. I closed my eyes and reached, just in memory, for the sounds I knew best. The percolator bubbling in the kitchen, the whisper of toast popping, Michael's socked feet sneaking across the floor before sunrise. But all I heard now was the buzz of the lights overhead. Constant. Cold. At 4:30 a.m., just as I used to rise to prep the biscuit dough, a young aide peeked in. Her voice was gentle, practiced. "You doing okay, Miss Linda?" I wanted to answer, but my throat was dry. I only managed a nod. She smiled, then disappeared down the corridor. Her footsteps faded too quickly. I lay back, the blanket scratchy against my arms. No ticking clock, no smell of cinnamon, no clatter of breakfast dishes. And that's when it truly settled in. There would be no one coming into the kitchen this morning. There would be no voices asking what's for breakfast. No one would even know I was awake. The phone at the nurse's station had sticky buttons that smelled like antiseptic. I pressed 7 mon for voicemail, Lisa's old trick to bypass the greeting, and held my breath through 27 rings. "Hi, you've reached Lisa. Leave a..." I hung up, redialed. Same cheerful recording, same hollow silence afterward. On the 28th try, a different voice answered. A man's. "Hello?" My heart leapt. "Michael?" A pause. "No, this is Lisa's fiancé. She's, busy." The TV blared in the background. One of those home renovation shows she loved. I gripped the receiver tighter. "Could you just tell her?" "Look, Mrs. Pearson." He sighed, like I was a telemarketer. "We'll come visit soon, okay? It's just complicated right now." The line went dead. Through the nursing home window, I watched a sparrow land on the concrete patio. It pecked at something invisible, then flew away. Back in my room, Darlene was changing my sheets. She hummed while she worked. Some pop song my grandkids probably knew. When she saw me standing there, she froze. "Oh, I didn't think you'd be back from bingo yet." I stared at the stripped mattress, at the plastic-covered pillow that wasn't mine. "I don't play bingo." Darlene tucked the sheet corners with military precision. "You will." And that's when I understood. They'd already written the story of my life here. Visitor's Day dawned with an obnoxiously cheerful announcement over the PA system. "Good morning, residents. Don't forget, family visits start at 10 a.m. sharp." I sat by the lobby window in the stiff armchair they designated as mine, watching cars pull into the parking lot. Mrs. Henderson's daughter arrived first, toting a Tupperware of what smelled like chicken soup. Mr. Fletcher's grandkids tumbled out of a minivan, their laughter bouncing off the linoleum. By noon, my knees ached from sitting so straight. By 2, I'd counted 17 visitors. None for me. At 3:47 p.m., the receptionist shuffled over with an envelope. "Came in the mail for you, Linda." The card had daisies on the front. Inside, just 3 lines in Lisa's loopy handwriting. "Thinking of you. Lisa and Michael. P.S. Remember to ask the nurse about your fiber intake." I traced the exclamation points. So bright, so bold. Like they could make up for all the empty space around them. Darlene found me still holding the card an hour later. "Oh, honey," she murmured, taking it from my stiff fingers. "Let's get you some tea." As she wheeled me toward the dining hall, I caught sight of my reflection in the glass doors, a hunched silhouette in a floral housecoat I didn't recognize. And that's when I stopped waiting for the life I'd left behind. The kitchen here was all stainless steel, cold to the touch, smelling of industrial cleaner instead of cinnamon. But when Darlene caught me staring at the industrial mixer one afternoon, she did something remarkable. She handed me an apron. "Show me how you make those biscuits everyone raves about," she said, tying the strings for me when my fingers fumbled. I measured the flour by feel, just like my mother taught me. The dough came together under my hands, still steady. Despite everything, Darlene watched, elbow deep in someone else's lunch dishes, as I cut perfect circles with a juice glass. "You make it look like dancing," she murmured when the first batch came out golden. The other aides drifted in, drawn by the smell. Mrs. Henderson's daughter, the soup bringer, peeked her head in. "Lord, that takes me back," she sighed, closing, her eyes as the scent wrapped around us. I handed her a biscuit still warm. She took it with both hands, like it was something precious. Later, as afternoon light slanted through the kitchen windows, different from my old kitchen's light, but beautiful in its own way, Darlene squeezed my shoulder. "Tomorrow you teach me the pie crust, okay?" And for the first time in years, I felt the dough rise in my chest. Not resentment, not regret, but something softer, something that might, with time, become contentment. The thing about kitchens is this: they're never really about the food. They're about the hands that make it, and the people who gather around to share it. For 42 years, I thought love was measured in empty plates and full stomachs. But here, in this sterile kitchen with its humming fluorescent lights, I'm learning a new recipe. Darlene comes every Tuesday now, her notebook filled with my scribbled instructions. Sometimes Mrs. Henderson's daughter joins us, rolling dough with her manicured hands. We laugh when the crusts tear, when the measurements go wrong. There's grace in these mistakes that my perfect breakfasts never allowed. The biscuits will never taste quite like they did in my old oven. But when I see Darlene's son, a lanky teenager with sauce on his shirt, sneak 3 from the cooling rack, I recognize that look, that uncomplicated joy. And for a moment, the years fall away like flour from a sifter. The phone still sits, silent in its cradle. The daisy card gathers dust on my nightstand. But the kitchen, this new kitchen, is warm. The coffee's fresh, and the morning light, when it comes, finds me waiting.